Now, the average age of a minister in the Presbyterian Church is 61 years, but Reverend Dawn Gikandi was ordained at just 31. She is one of the youngest ministers on the continent, and in a country where physical disability is often viewed as a curse, Reverend Dawn has seen it as a platform to shatter the stereotypes, breaking barriers and blaze a trail for the others. This week on Outliers, the remarkable story of a woman who refuses to be limited by circumstances.
Ordained in April of 2014 at the age of 31, a theologian and a social media enthusiast, Reverend Dawn Gikandi is one of a few women and even fewer persons with physical disability who serve the church as an ordained pastor.
You may focus on an outward disability, yet the people who are crippled within, like when I was struggling with the issues of hating myself and some form of depression, nobody knew. I had a teacher who used to tell her class, I never took that unit, you should be having a smile always like Dawn. And I kept on thinking, I smile outwardly. Do you know what's going on inside? So for me, disability has been a platform. One, of people laughing, just being mean. Two, of me learning to depend on God. There was a time I just treat someone and asked God, now I need an angel here. I needed to access a building, and the way it was built, I needed help. And incidentally, someone just passed by and asked, do you need help? And I was like, thank you, Lord. And during those moments, I just get close to God in my own way.
Here at Bahati Martyrs Church, Dawn and another pastor care for more than 4,000 congregants. Dawn regularly takes to Facebook to post inspirational messages and sends out Bible quotes to at least 400 people a day on her mobile phone. Having gone through some dark times herself, she knows the value of an encouraging word.
I may not go through what you are or someone else's, but since I've struggled with something, I know what pain is, struggle is, doubt is, faith is at the end of all that and in between. So for me, it has really been used of God.
Dawn wears a back brace tightened around her back to give it strength and uses a walking stick for stability. Her musculoskeletal condition is a result of injuries that her mother suffered during pregnancy when she was hit by a car while crossing a road. Medics warned Dawn's mother that the child born from that pregnancy would never walk and would likely suffer severe deformities. They recommended an abortion.
But Mom told them, if God has let this child survive, He will give me the grace to take care of the child, no matter how difficult it will be. I always wondered why God let me survive. In those days in high school, when it was so bleak and dreary, I would ask God, why didn't you just let me die? It would have been easier for my parents. It would have been easier for me, but my parents said it was the beginning of their joy. So back now to high school, looking back, I always wondered, why would God let me go through all that? There were many places I would have died before birth, during the accident, during birth, during that complication. And I kept on asking so many questions. And enough of those times I was very negative. But then I realized God doesn't have to change to be what I want Him to be. But I'm the one who needs to change to align myself with His will.
Coming to terms with her physical limitations hasn't always been easy, but Dawn's unique perspective has made it possible for her to enjoy her work and pursue her passion.
If you spend a day with people who cannot hear, deaf or hearing impaired, you will learn one thing. When you're with them, you're the one who is disabled. They will talk. Disability is just a perspective. When they are together, that's I call it their normal. So it just depends on the perspective. So for me, it just reminds me I may not be enabled like the rest, but I have things that I've been enabled to do. I know it sounds like I'm a bit too optimistic. I know I'd be accused of that, but it's so real to me, where every moment of my life, that's what I'd want people to learn from. Someone came and said, no, life is unfair. And sometimes I wonder, compared to what are you comparing life with? But difficult things happen, diseases, some that are very fatal or terminal, you know, and you don't choose it, you find yourself sick, accidents. And I thought, and for the first time, I think I shared with them my story. And I said, I couldn't change the accident. I wish I could at some point. But I realized that I had no control over that. But I have a say in my attitude. I may not choose what happens, but I choose how I respond to it. And I choose to see a positive side of it, or at least let God work on it with me.
To become a minister at this church, Dawn Gikandi has overcome what many would say are insurmountable odds. But the way she sees things, what she has is not a disability, it's just a different kind of normal. Nancy Kachingira, KTN.